Hi everyone, this is Nicole. Welcome back to my channel and another paper crafting video. Today I'm super excited to be sharing 3 new seasonal peeking image cards featuring all brand new products from Hero Art's Holiday 2023 catalog release. Now I am going to sneak a couple of previously released products in just to kind of help tell the story, if you will, but almost everything you see here is brand new. Now the base of most of my cards is going to be this beautiful tone-on-tone metallic spray. There are 5 new colors. I know I only showed 4. I originally thought I was only going to use the red, green, black, and orange, and of course perfect for Halloween or fall and your Christmas crafting, and it rounds out a lot of the other previously released colors, but the blue really, to me, just felt like it was going to work with my Snowman card, so I did end up using it as well. Now, I do want to say these come powder and you add water to them, and that kind of dictates the consistency or intensity, not consistency, the intensity. I had a little bit of trouble with my sprayer for my green. I think I clogged it. I don't think I had enough water in my thing, or I sucked the powder up into the sprayer, and I kind of had to fiddle with it and get it working again, which I did. But I did want to make mention of that. You're going to see me do 4 panels in these first 4 colors. So again, red, green, orange, and black, and I'm not covering the entire thing. I'm leaving it a little splotchy, a little messy. These are going to serve some as backgrounds, some as paper, if you will, my own kind of custom paper to die cut the large fancy numbers from. Oh my gosh, I love them so much. I do want to say for this green background, and this is the background for the Peking Reindeer card, I did pull out some spring green. This was a previously released product. So see some of those big splatters on there? I actually just kind of went with it. So I'm going to use the spring green. I'm going to go fix my sprayer and I'll be back in just a minute. Now, obviously with the great technology of video, I wasn't gone at all, but I am adding in that color. So it's mostly green with a little spring green thrown in. I have to tell you, these 2 colors work together amazingly well. I love these together. So if you already have spring green, or maybe you want to pick it up, it's great. I did pull my orange background back out, and then I splattered it with a little bit of black, not a lot. And then when dry, I used the fancy numbers in the 3 and the 1 to die cut. Now, what I love about these fancy number dies, there is 1 through 0, and in the set comes the large number, which is what I'm using for my cards here. There's the large number, a little bit smaller, and then it's written out in 2 sizes as well. The number, the actual letters to spell out the number. So you get lots of options. Now, I thought it would be fun to create a Halloween card first, of course, and I've got my Peking Witch. I am taking some alcohol ink markers. I'm using Olo markers today to color in my witch face. You will notice that I have lots of Peking Witches die cut on my table. I've got the white from the Nina 110-pound weight that I'm coloring. This is going to be the base of my witch. I've die cut my witch from some fancy luxe cardstock you see down there at the bottom that's a glittery black. That's going to be several elements for my witch, like her hat and the collar of her dress. And then her dress, see how it's shimmery just like the background and the numbers? That actually is a previously released color from Hero Arts with their tone-on-tone metallic spray. It's royal purple and gold. Ooh, so pretty. I went ahead and spritzed another die cut out of white with that to give her a purple dress. I wanted her dress to have more interest to it than just a purple cardstock. So I am simply cutting apart my dies now and assembling. So you can see kind of how this is all going to come together. They're very easy to cut apart. and to create these beautiful scenes because it's not multiple dies. Now, this particular die, the Peking Witch, comes with the witch and the bat. And the bat you can see on my background. I have die cut it 3 times from glossy black cardstock. And this card, more than the others, does incorporate a couple of previously released product. There's not as much Halloween in the holiday catalog as obviously Christmas and winter and all of that good stuff. But I just dive right back into my favorite Hero Arts products from previous years. I've got a spider web from the Halloween Icons dies. I've die cut that from vellum. And then the broom is from the Lifestyle Trick or Treat die set, which these are the dies that you can use to kind of build the paper dolls. I often use the components though for different kinds of scene cards, pardon me. And the broom I felt would just be perfect held in her hand. So I've die cut that from some wood grain cardstock and white cardstock and gold cardstock. And we're going to kind of do what we're doing for the witch where we assemble that. For her hair, I am taking my alcohol ink markers. I started with a blue violet base, and I am taking my warm grays over the top and just giving her some nice curly hair. Her eye, I will color in with some markers. You will notice for my Reindeer and Snowman peeking images, they are going to get the black pearls for eyes instead of coloring in the eyes. That wasn't intentional. I didn't think I would like the pearl for her eye. So I just went ahead and used dark gray markers. And I really love how it turns out. Now, as I start adding glue to the witch hat, I realize that the underneath brim of her hat, I don't think I want it glittery. I think I want it to be a glossy black, like what the bats are, just a little smoother, just like it's the underneath, you know, of the brim of her hat. So I went ahead and trimmed that off, and then I'm layering everything. And I will die cut the witch again, just the top of her head. You don't have to die cut the whole thing. And grab those glossy black areas and add those to the hat. And then I did like the little touch of the glittery black for the collar on her dress. Just kind of adds a fun little touch. She's coming together and she's looking real cute. I guess if you can consider her cute, if you will. To save just a tiny bit of time today, I've sped up the video while I'm doing my assembling and as I add foam adhesive to the back of these pieces to add to the background. Now, all of my backgrounds started out at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Only one of them am I actually going to leave at that size. I'm going to trim about 1/4 of an inch off the long side off of the Halloween and the snow background. I did add some shading to her dress right over the shimmer spray with my alcohol ink markers, pardon me. So the base of the broom is going to be the craft or wood grain, pardon me, cardstock. I trimmed the bristles of my broom off and adhered those on top. And then I will die cut it again from gold. And we are going to add that to the little band. Now, the whole basis of this design was that she's kind of hugging or peeking out from the large number 1. And she inspired all the rest of the cards that I'm going to be sharing here today. So you see how her hand, she's peeking out from the 1, and the 1 works especially great for this because it's nice and straight. However, I think you could make it work. You're going to see me make it work with, and I'll show you some tips and tricks for the 5, for the 25, for the Christmas cards. But I have her laid out here. I don't have anything attached yet because I want to stamp right on my background. I went with another previously released product because I needed a greeting. This is the Autumn Messages stamp set. I'm going to stamp your Fabulous on here using intensified black ink right over my shimmer spray. And then I can start putting it all together. Now, the key to making this cohesive with such large numbers for me is to incorporate all the imagery into those numbers. So I'm slightly layering my web, my vellum web from those Halloween icons back behind and slightly in front of the number 3. And then my greeting is tucked right there into that little open area of the 3. Then we're going to attach the 1 and the witch, and everything is popped up with foam to really make it pop off the background. But I realized I want to trim that 1/4 of an inch off of the top. And then I do have that leftover orange and black splatter background. I am going to use one of these new decorative border dies to die cut a little border from this. A great way to use up all those little parts and pieces. You're going to see me do this multiple times throughout the video instead of, inking or spritzing another piece of paper. I'm going to put glue along the top edge. I love the little decorative edge here. I think it adds a lot of character. I love decorative edges, so I'm super excited to see that from Hero Arts. I even have a black card base that I'm going to attach this to. You could just do a black panel if you wanted. I'm going to put some heavy blocks on top to help hold that flat while the glue dries. I did use liquid glue on purpose to help make sure it stays put, because it does tend to warp a little because it's been spritzed with spray. Then I've tucked my number 1 and the witch on my design. I'm going to tuck the broom underneath her hand. I love that. Maybe one of my favorite things about this card. And then we're going to have some bats flying all over the design. Love these little bats. It's just the perfect finishing touch for our witch. Finally, I'm going to add a white highlight to her eye, her cheek. I will add some to her hair. I've got that little gold band that I need to add to my broom. Of course, remember I talked about that earlier. I want to finish it off nice. Decorative and specialty paper is fantastic for this. And there is our finished Halloween card with the Peking Witch, with the large fancy number dies. I love, love, love it. And I hope you guys do as well. So let's go ahead and make some Christmas cards now. So remember at the beginning of the video, I had already pre-made quite a few backgrounds. I do end up needing a couple more. We need a blue background, so I've grabbed my blue spray and I'm going to go all over this background. Now, again, I don't want to go too much because I almost think it looks like snow flurries if you don't cover the whole thing. I am going to splatter this with some bigger drops in a little bit, but I'm going to let it dry a little bit first. Look at this green background. That is how the green background dried. I absolutely love it. This is going to be our Peking deer, and he is cute. We, of course, are going to use the large 2 and 5 fancy numbers, so we can do 25 for Christmas. We're also going to incorporate some other fun elements here to go with our deer. He is a little bit easier to disguise that it's not flat than the snowman. You'll see what I mean. The snowman is going to be the last card that we make today. But I do want to kind of disguise down near the base. He's kind of straight. It's not like he's just holding on to the number. His face is nice and round, and the new winter foliage Stampin' Cut is perfect. So last year, one of my very favorite Hero Arts release products was their foliage dies. It was a Stampin' Cut as well. I used it all the time. Absolute favorite. And I have die cut some of those pieces, and I am using my green and my spring green sprays to spray them. The pine cones, there is not a good brown in the Hero Arts line, so I grabbed the Distress Mica Stain in Crooked Broomstick. It's my favorite for things like this. I want my pine cones to be shimmery. And then I've got my reindeer die cut from lots of different mediums. We're going to start with that nice creamy color as our base. We've got a lighter brown, a darker brown, red for the collar, and then gold for the bell. And we're simply going to piece him all together. And I am going to speed that up a little bit while I work on assembly. So for this, I did decide to use a couple of inks from Hero Arts to add some shading for my deer. For the pink cheeks, we are going to use some Peony Hero Hues ink, and then we'll use espresso for the darker brown parts of our reindeer. And that's just a little shading to give him a little added texture and character. You could also use your alcohol ink markers for shading if you want to. Lots of ways to achieve that look. But the pink cheeks really just add such cute character. So that was the Peony ink, just applied with a small round blending tool. And then I'm going to take another small tool because these dies, once cut apart, are pretty small. And I'm going to start shading in my espresso color. Then we are going to glue our reindeer together and start bringing all of the different components together for this design. All of the little things that you can add just bring these critters or images to life. So we're going to start with the base of the body. The hooves are an even darker color. We have the red for the cute little collar and a nice pop of color. You could just use like Nouveau Crystal drops in glossy black or a dark brown or something similar for the nose. I actually took a pom-pom and I'm going to apply the pom-pom to make it Rudolph because I thought that would be fun. And I'm using my large black pearls. I know I've talked about this in lots of videos. I did add eyelashes with a fine tip pin as well, but those big pearls don't get much love from me until I need them for eyes on certain die cuts. And then those big ones are perfect. So I love how that turned out. Now for this one, to make it fit, the 2 and the 5 need to overlap a little bit. And so I'm going to overlap them. We're going to put foam adhesive on the back just like we did before. And then we're going to make it look like the reindeer is hugging the 5 and disguise kind of, and also soften and add just fun interest to the design with greenery, pine cones, and then from the Peking Snowman set, there's some little holly leaves and berries, which I am going to go ahead and do 2 of those at once because we'll use one for this card and one for the snowman card. But I think that little touch added up on his antlers is really, really cute. So I'm just going to add all my little foam pieces here, and I am going to speed it up while we do assembly. Now on this background, I didn't trim it down to add a border. I could have, and kind of wish I had, but I didn't. But see how it's much more splattered? That is because remember when I started, I kind of had those big drips and then I had a little bit of a hard time getting an even spray. I honestly kind of love this look. So that is an idea as well. And you're going to see me in the final card purposely kind of recreate that effect for the snow background because I liked it so much. Okay, we're going to figure out how to kind of hide him. Now, all that area that's straight from kind of the neck down, it looks rather unnatural because we want it to look like he's hugging onto that 5. So I'm going to make sure and snip his arm, or his leg, I guess not really an arm, just snip it so that I can wrap it around so he's holding on and hugging. And then where he's straight, just softening that edge by adding greenery, even if it doesn't totally disguise it, it doesn't make your eye just go straight to that straight area and say that doesn't look right. I'm always trying to find ways to disguise things without being overtly, that isn't the way it was designed to be or whatever. So I had to remove a foam square to make this fit correctly. I don't want to trim off too much of him, so I wanted to tuck a little bit more of his body back behind there. Here are some of my greenery pieces and those pine cones. Oh my goodness, I love these. So again, see how I'm kind of layering that right along the edge. I've got another one that I'm going to put over on the right side. And then I did die cut a third. I didn't start with a third from that set, but I am going to go and grab it. And again, this is the Winter Foliage Stampin' Cut. And I spritz them with those greens, the green and spring green. And then I will add dimensional berries with some Pretty Pink Posh berries. I think I like that look a little bit better. I got my pine cones there. Oh, I love it. Isn't it cute? I even think if you have either an oversized tag die, or if you just want to simply notch the corners and punch a hole, wouldn't these be cute tags? Or if you want to maybe leave sentiments off and put these in photo frames as decoration, I think that would be super sweet as well. Really fun. This is the little holly berries I was talking about earlier from the Snowman set. Mix and match. If you get multiples of these, mix and match the components. There is, in the Snowman, you get a Santa hat as well as the top hat. I use the top hat, but you could put a Santa hat on your reindeer if you wanted to. You could use the Santa hat on other things. You could have the Santa hat hanging off of the number 2 if you wanted to. There are lots and lots of ways to use this. Use the numbers to do countdowns in your December daily albums, or if you do scrapbooking and you do a countdown, or you're making an advent calendar. I can't stress enough how amazing. I love the font of the numbers, number 1, but I love that you get 2 sizes, and I accidentally got way too much crystal lacquer, so I just used the little tool to get that picked up. I did add crystal lacquer to the hooves. It will dry completely clear and make them glossy. I did color in the insides of the ears with a pink marker just to give them a little definition, because I didn't want to piece those. I've got my little holly berries. I've got some little red gems. Oh my goodness, how cute is this? And I'm going to add that little third piece of greenery, and it's sitting on there actually. And I'm going to set that aside for a second. Now for my third card, I'm going to pull something else out. So I've got my beautiful blue background, and I want to use these new transfers. If you haven't tried the Hero Arts transfers, I highly recommend it. I loved rub-ons many years ago, and these are so good. So here I am, I'm using my sprayer. Look how I'm adding those big globs and drops. This is the same color of spray. So with the green, where I had like 2 different greens, I'm not using another color here. This is an effect you can get with one color, one spray. And I love that. Now, some of the drops were a little too harsh for me, so I'm actually going to spray over this a couple of the areas just to kind of dull them, and that really worked well. I love how it turned out. We're going to let that dry, and I'm going to add my greenery to this card. These 2 cards were worked on at the same time because we will be using the same sentiment stamp set to finish them. So let's go ahead. Now look at that background. It's so good. I have got my snowman, and I am going to speed it up while we do assembly, and I'll talk about it. So remember with the witch card, I said that I utilized the rest or leftover of my orange and black background. The carrot nose is separate. There is a separate die for that, and I did spritz that with the orange. The red pieces for the band around the top hat and the scarf were die cut from leftover red sprayed paper from the reindeer card. And I had to be creative with how I laid my snowman on there to die cut those pieces, but I love it. And remember, I didn't completely cover the card, so there's some white areas. I almost feel like it makes the scarf look like there's snow sticking to it, which is awesome. I've added the other hollyberry leaves to there. He's got black pearls for eyes. I'm going to add those little tiny red pearls for the hollyberries. And then for the scarf, there's little circle cutouts. There's lots of ways you could do this. I am going to add some green gems to his scarf. I thought that would be kind of fun. I'm using the smallest size for both the berries and for the decorative part of his scarf. I love the black gloves. I think they really are nice and shiny, both the top hat and gloves. This was die cut from a glossy black cardstock. Now my background is dry. It is trimmed to 4 by 5.5. That means I can add a fun little decorative border here. And then I trimmed one of the sheets of the Snowflake transfers in half. You get 2 sheets in the package. I want to completely cover the background. Now it's going to be pretty subtle, but it's going to look like these beautiful snowflakes all over the background of this card. And I'm using the popsicle stick that comes in the kit or in the set, and I'm going to start transferring. And I like to just pull up a corner. I want to see if I'm getting a good transfer. You can always go back then and press anything that you didn't get on there very well, but I love how this looks over the shimmer spray. I hope you guys like this as well. I want to try this with some of the other transfers because I think it would look really amazing. It's a fun way to add a decorative touch to your background without like stamping or anything like that. Oh my goodness, look at that pretty background. I'm so excited. Now for this, I did stamp another background from green cards, or pardon me, from white cardstock that I spritzed with the green and spring green colors. I die cut the numbers and this time a scallop border from that same border set. We're going to put the scallop down at the bottom for this one. We're going to glue this and pop it down on our white card base, and then we're going to start attaching all of the components. So for this background, I'm overlapping the numbers again. I wish I would have put the 5 in front of the 2. That's my only regret here, but that's okay. I couldn't quite decide what to have my snowman holding. Now the side of his face is flat. I need to kind of disguise that fact just a little bit, and because it's nice, it's open right there. So I want to use the winter foliage again, but it just wasn't quite cutting it for me. So I went and I looked at the release, and there is an awesome fancy cut candy cane set. There's a large and a small. I opted to use the large candy cane. You get the candy cane layers in the set plus 2 bows. I'm actually going to use the smaller bow with the large candy cane. I felt like that fit better for my card design. And then we're going to add a little bit of greenery to this as well. Not as much as the reindeer card, but I do want to use this little piece. And then I cut it apart, and then I end up not wanting it cut apart, so I glue it back together. Hey, I'm all about not wasting something that I die cut and sprayed. So here's my candy cane cut from white glitter Hero Arts cardstock and red cardstock. We're going to layer those, and this is the perfect way to disguise that straight edge. Then I did cut his little gloves off, or one of them at least. I'm going to use my tweezers to kind of help clamp that down. But it looks like he's holding the candy cane around the edge of the 5. We're going to add our greenery. All of the good little stuff here to just disguise it. It makes it so cute and fun. I love these peeking images. I just think they're the most fun thing. And then here's my little gold bow. I have a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock now, and we are going to stamp some greetings. So one of my very favorite things that Hero Arts does is that they keep bringing out new sentiment strips. These are the Christmas sentiment strips. They work with the sentiment strips die. I'm going to stamp this on some pitch black cardstock with the embossing and watermark ink from Hero Arts. We're going to sprinkle on some white Hero Arts embossing powder, heat set, and then die cut with the sentiment die, and we're going to end up with tons and tons of sentiments that we can add. And I am going to go through those, figure out what I want to use, and then I'll be right back. One of the things I love about this is you instantly have tons of greetings. I always hang on to all of these extras and save them for future projects. I like to tuck them right in the back of my storage sleeve with the stamp set. And the next time I go to create a Christmas or holiday themed card, I have a bunch of ready to use sentiments right there that I can pop on any card design. I can guarantee these are going to get used a ton. They're great for tags as well. I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine. Then I am simply going to push all of these out. Let's go ahead and get our background on a card base real quick. Forgot to do my reindeer card on a card base. I love acrylic blocks for holding things down. I'm going to snip apart and prep my sentiments. And then we're going to adhere these right to our cards. Because I had so many sentiment strips, I decided to use 2 sentiment strips per card. It's something I love to do if I can. It depends on the card design, but I thought it looked really cute, so I went ahead and added 2 to each of these. I'm going to layer them kind of just into the numbers. You could also tuck it, down below the number or along the bottom if you want to, wherever you want to add those. I'm being creative with where the foam strips are being placed so that it doesn't overlap what already has been attached with some foam, and then adding a little liquid glue to anything or where it overlaps the design. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this trio of 3 fun cards featuring brand new products from the Hero Arts Holiday Catalog 2023 release. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Thank you so much for joining me today for another paper crafting tutorial. I love being able to share with this incredible community of crafters. I want to give a huge shout out and special thank you to my amazing Patreon members. If you're interested in joining Patreon, please click the link in the description underneath the video here on YouTube. Patreon is a private community where you can support more of what I do. There is exclusive content, information, and behind-the-scenes content. Top-tier members will receive a handmade birthday card during your birthday month, access to D-Stash, and monthly exclusive lives, plus so much more. We would love to have you join our growing community. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, and don't forget to click the notification bell to always be notified when there is a new video or I go live. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you again next time.